All right, let's talk about one of football's most incredible and, well, paradoxical figures. A guy who, by all logic, should never have been a great athlete, but ended up as a legend whose name just makes you smile. We're diving into the story of Garrincha.
So yeah, let's just get straight to the big question, the one that makes his story so unbelievable. How on earth did a man born with severely bent legs become a football god? I mean, it doesn't make sense, right? It sounds like something out of a myth. But, as we'll see, sometimes the craziest stories are the truest.
Okay, so to really get a grip on his genius, you have to start with his body. Garrincha wasn't just some great player. He was frankly a medical marvel. He took what any doctor would call a massive disadvantage and turned it into his secret weapon.
Just look at this. The contrast here is absolutely staggering. On one hand, you have the medical facts. His right leg literally bent inwards. His left leg was 6 centimeters. That's about 2.5 inches shorter, and it bent outwards. I mean, doctors thought he'd be lucky to walk normally, let alone kick a ball. But here's the magic. Instead of being a handicap, this gave him this bizarre, unique center of gravity. His movements were something defenders had never, ever seen before. He was completely and utterly unpredictable.
So, how did this physical strangeness translate onto the pitch? Well, Garrincha wasn't just effective, he was a pure showman. For him, the football pitch was basically his stage. He played with this infectious, unfiltered fun, especially for his beloved club, Botafogo. And this is the move, his legendary signature move. And what's so wild is how simple it was. He'd fake to the right, then he'd just stop. He'd practically invite the defender to make a tackle. And then, bam, he was gone. The best part? Everyone in the stadium, including the poor defender marking him, knew what he was going to do, and they still couldn't do a single thing to stop it. Now that is genius.
And that right there perfectly explains his nickname. Alegria do povo, the joy of the people. Think about it. Football can be so tense, so strategic. But Garrincha? He was pure joy. He played the game with a huge smile on his face, simply for the love of it and for the sound of the crowd. He wasn't just out there to win, he was there to make people happy.
But you know, his incredible talent wasn't just for the fans in Brazil. Garrincha took his unique show on the road, to the biggest stage of all. And in doing so, he went from a club hero to a national icon, a legend for the whole world. He was a core part of two of the most legendary teams ever. In 1958, he and this 17-year-old kid named Pelé, maybe you've heard of him, they basically announced to the world that Brazil had arrived. But it was 4 years later, in 1962, that his personal legend was really written in stone. Okay, try to imagine this situation. You're at the World Cup. Your team's star, the best player in the world, Pelé, gets injured and is out of the tournament. The hopes of an entire football-crazy nation suddenly land squarely on your shoulders, the shoulders of the guy with the bent legs. Most players would have just crumbled under that pressure, but not Garrincha. He absolutely thrived. And when I say he thrived, I mean he didn't just step up. He took over the entire tournament. He won the Golden Boot for being the top scorer, he won the Golden Ball for being the best player, and of course, he dragged Brazil almost single-handedly to another World Cup title. It is, to this day, one of the greatest individual performances the sport has ever seen, period. And here's a stat that just blows my mind every time I hear it. Think about all the World Cup matches Brazil played with both Garrincha and Pelé on the field together. How many of those matches do you think they lost? The answer is 0. Not one. Never. When they played together, they were literally unbeatable. So when you put all of this together, what do you get? Well, his legacy goes way beyond just the trophies and the stats. Garrincha became something much bigger than a footballer. He became a cultural phenomenon. You have to remember, this was an era way before huge TV deals, social media, and multi-million-dollar endorsement contracts. Yet Garrincha's name was known all over the world. He was genuinely one of the very first athletes to become a true global superstar, based on nothing but his incredible, captivating talent. And this isn't just nostalgia or fan worship talking. His place in the history books is absolutely secure. You got organizations like FIFA and the IFFHS officially naming him as one of the greatest players of the entire 20th century. His greatness is a certified fact. And you know, his spirit is still alive and well today. You can feel it. Especially if you go to Rio, to the home of his beloved Botafogo. Their stadium, the Estadio Olimpio Nilton Santos, is forever tied to his legend. The joy of the people isn't just a memory there, it's a living part of the atmosphere.
Which brings us to this final question. What really defines a true legend? Is it flawless perfection, or is it creating moments of unforgettable joy? In a world that so often celebrates the perfect athlete with the perfect technique, Garrincha's story makes you think, doesn't it? Because his life off the pitch was messy, it was chaotic. But the joy he brought on the pitch was pure, it was absolute. His life was anything but perfect, but the happiness he gave to millions, that was. And maybe, just maybe, that's a legacy more powerful than any record book could ever capture.